Ethan Miller was invisible. Not in the way superheroes are invisible, but in the way people stop noticing someone who has failed too many times. He blended into crowds, walked with his head slightly down, and spoke softly, as if apologizing for existing. At 34, Ethan lived in a small rented apartment above a laundromat in a quiet town in northern England. The machines downstairs hummed day and night, a constant reminder of movement, something his own life seemed to lack. He had dreams once, big ones. He wanted to be a writer. Not famous, not rich, just someone whose words mattered to someone somewhere. But life didn't care about dreams. Bills came. Rejections followed. One email after another began with "Thank you for your submission" and ended with "We regret to inform you." Eventually, Ethan stopped submitting. He worked at a warehouse, stacking boxes for 12 hours a day. The job paid enough to survive, not enough to live. His coworkers joked loudly during breaks. Ethan smiled politely, but rarely joined in. At night, he stared at his laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard, afraid to type, afraid of failing again. One rainy Tuesday changed everything. Ethan was heading home when he noticed an elderly man struggling with grocery bags outside the corner shop. One bag ripped open, oranges rolling across the wet pavement. Without thinking, Ethan rushed forward. "Let me help you," he said. The old man smiled. "Thank you, son. My hands aren't what they used to be." They gathered the groceries together. As they walked slowly down the street, the man introduced himself as Mr. Harris. His voice was warm, his eyes curious. "What do you do for work?" Mr. Harris asked. "I work in a warehouse," Ethan replied. "And what do you want to do?" The old man asked without hesitation. Ethan paused. No one had asked him that in years. I wanted to be a writer," he said quietly. Mr. Harris stopped walking. "Wanted?" He repeated. "What happened?" Ethan laughed bitterly. "Life happened. Rejection happened. Reality happened." Mr. Harris nodded slowly. "I was a painter," he said. "I stopped at 42. Ethan looked surprised. "Why?" "Because I believed the world when it told me I wasn't good enough," the old man replied. "And that was my greatest mistake." They stood in silence as rain tapped gently around them. Before they parted ways, Mr. Harris said something Ethan would never forget. "Failure doesn't mean you weren't meant for it. Sometimes it means you were meant to fight longer." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The words echoed in his mind, "Fight longer." He opened his laptop. For the first time in years, he didn't think about publishers, likes, or approval. He wrote about his life, his fear, his invisibility, his silence. He wrote until sunrise. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Ethan wrote before work, after work, during lunch breaks. He posted short stories online, not expecting attention. At first, nothing happened. Then one comment appeared. "This feels like my life. Thank you." Then another. "You made me cry." Then hundreds. Ethan's hands shook as he read them. Strangers, people from the USA, the UK, places he had never been, connected to his words. Not because they were perfect, but because they were honest. One evening, an email arrived. A small online magazine wanted to feature his story. Ethan sat quietly for a long time. He thought of the warehouse, the rejections, the rain, the old man with the grocery bags. Tears fell not from sadness, but from relief. He wasn't invisible anymore. Months later, Ethan visited the corner shop again. He looked for Mr. Harris, but the shopkeeper told him the old man had passed away peacefully. Ethan walked home slowly, heart heavy. That night, he dedicated his next story to Mr. Harris. It ended with a simple line. "Sometimes, the belief we need comes from someone who reminds us who we were before we gave up." Ethan finally believed in himself. And that belief changed everything.